I've had a growing list of smart home devices I wanted to share with you guys, so just gonna put it all in one video. I've been using the new Aqara G400 video doorbell with HomeKit Secure Video, the Aqara W200 thermostat, which comes out April 7th, and I have 3 other smart home upgrades: the Denon 600 speaker, my new OLED TV, which was my midlife crisis purchase, and a new Denon Home receiver. But along with some of those purchases, I also have some regrets, namely some devices from Hue that I wish I didn't get, and something from Lutron that I'm actually going to swap out for something else. None of the smart home devices sponsored this video. Monarch is today's sponsor. We'll get to that in a second. First up is the G400 doorbell. I've been using the Logitech Circle View for the last 4 years, and it served me pretty well. It stayed connected most of the time, but recently, as you can see, it was getting worse for wear. I started having some connectivity dropouts, and this is a pretty old device. It's only 1080p, which HomeKit only allows for. We'll get to that in a moment. Wireless connectivity wasn't that great, and the G400 is only $100. Now, I've been using this for about a week, and it has been awesome. First of all, you can use wired power, which I just took the cables from the Logitech and connected it to this one, but it can also take power over Ethernet. Side note, we built this house almost 5 years ago now. I wish I had run Ethernet to so many more places. Every place I put a Sonos subwoofer, I would have ran Ethernet to my video doorbell now. So if you're ever in a situation where you're running Ethernet, run it everywhere. Twice as many places as you think you need it. And the G400 works great with Apple HomeKit Secure Video. You don't even need the Aqara app to set it up. You just scan the code and you can add it to the Home app directly, and you get all the video doorbell features. You'll get things like facial recognition for people in your contacts, and you can even label people as they come up. You get the big previews, and you'll also see this on your Apple TV if someone rings your doorbell, and you can use any HomePod or speakers like the Denon 600 as doorbell chimes. Now, the G400 comes with its own little doorbell chime. It's powered by USB-C. You don't need it to use the doorbell. It's actually different because Aqara's wireless video doorbells, the chime was actually the hub that connected it to the wireless. That's what allowed for HomeKit Secure Video with those wireless doorbells, but you don't need to use the physical chime with this one. You can just use your HomePods, get notifications on your devices, and that's it. And the G400 has dual band Wi-Fi, both 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. And I've really noticed that speed performance, especially when I'm trying to look for the live view. You can see how quickly that live video feed actually comes up here from my iPhone. Noticeable improvement over the Logitech Circle View. And you do get a bit of a wider viewing angle over the Logitech, and you get 2K if you use the Aqara app. You can also record directly to a micro SD card that you place in the video doorbell, and you'll get 2K that way if you don't want to pay for Aqara's cloud service. Now, you do have to download and pair the Aqara app to change 2 key settings. One, if I go to the device settings, if you want to get the 2K video footage and link this to the Aqara W200 thermostat, which I'll get to in a moment, then you can see a screen grab when someone rings your doorbell on your thermostat screen, which is pretty cool. But the other setting that I turned off immediately is doorbell ringing. My mom's Arlo video doorbell does this too, but if this is enabled, when someone rings your video doorbell, it's going to act like it's a phone call on your phone. Even if your phone is locked, you'll see this phone call coming through like it's a VoIP call. And then if you answer it, it will actually allow you to talk through the video doorbell. I don't prefer those kinds of notifications. I just want to see the default home notification, maybe on my watch. And unfortunately, that is on by default. So you'll have to go to notifications and disable doorbell ringing if you don't want that. You'll also see that link to device control, which is where I connected it to my thermostat. And you can also connect it to the new U400 Smart Lock. I did a whole video on that. I'll link above. But I'll show you how it connects to the thermostat in a moment. It does come with an angled bracket as well as a straight bracket to put it on your wall. And again, for $100, this is a great deal on a HomeKit Secure Video doorbell. I bought this one myself. I'll put an affiliate link to this and everything I'm talking about in this video down in the description. But if you're looking for HomeKit Secure Video doorbell, I think this is the one to go with right now. Next, let's go inside and talk about the new Denon 600. Now, these 2 speakers were sent to me. This is the Denon 600. It's their new home speaker. This is like the top of the line model. It's $800. We'll just get that out of the way. And I also have the Denon 400 that they sent me. We'll get to that in a second. You can say, hey, little finder guy right there. But I love these new Denon home speakers because they feel like native HomeKit, just Apple home speakers. If you look on the underside, it straight up comes with a HomeKit pairing QR code right here on the bottom. And not only can you connect it there, but you can also connect it via USB-C, aux jack in, and Bluetooth. And there's even a hardware switch if you want to disable the microphone and not use the voice assistant. It also has threads on the bottom if you want to put it on a stand, or you can just put it on a bookcase. Also, nice physical controls here. You can program these in the HEOS app, plus play, pause, voice assistant, and volume adjustments. Now, it's hard to represent how these kind of speakers sound, but as you can see, this is in a pretty big room. And I also have a Sonos Arc and Sub Gen 3 here, and I've tested all the Sonos speakers. I also have pairs of HomePods, and I'll have to say this Denon Home 600 is the most incredible sound I've experienced in this room. It fills the room, and even just having one speaker, it can still sound very immersive. This thing has a bunch of speakers inside of it. I will say bass-wise, I would prefer something like a Sub Mini or Sub Gen 3 and a soundbar, but you can adjust the EQ on the Denon 600 and you can turn up that bass a little bit, but the immersive sound is pretty wild. If you're looking for great home speakers too, the Denon HEOS app is really good. I connected both the 600 and 400. You can send music however you want, or you could just use it as a regular AirPlay speaker. It lives in the Home app, and you can connect it to your Apple TV. If anyone comments on the TV height, you're getting banned. But with tvOS 26.4, which just came out, you can set another audio speaker besides like the built-in or receiver speakers, and it will be permanently connected. So if you go to settings, video and audio, and then audio output, here I've set the Denon 600, but it counts as an AirPlay speaker, which won't give you Dolby Atmos. You can even AirPlay to multiple speakers from an Apple TV, but you're not going to get Atmos. Now, there are a couple settings you might want to adjust, so while you don't need the HEOS app to actually set it up and use it as an AirPlay speaker, you will need to jump into the HEOS app for things like actually controlling the speaker buttons and setting those as quick shortcuts. And for placement, you have to tell it whether it's away from walls, near one wall like mine, or near two walls. So that'll help you get a little better sound, and you do need the HEOS app for that. Also, when you're actually playing something to the speaker, you can jump in here and change the sound mode from pure to auto. I've been using it on auto. I think it actually sounds better and a little more immersive that way. And you can adjust the sound controls like turning up the bass and even adjusting the width and height for some of those surround effects. But if you're looking for the most immersive sound, I will say I actually like how the Denon 600 sounds better than a pair of HomePods. Now you can get the smaller Denon 400, which we'll talk about in a moment, but if you're trying to fill a rather large room with sound, you want the most immersive possible, I do think this is one of the best home speakers you can get. They did send me the speaker to test. This is not sponsored by them, but it's a great speaker. Let's test it as a doorbell chime.
It looks like Stephen Robles is at the door.
There's the doorbell chime, and there's also the G400 video doorbell. On the Apple TV, you get that live shot right there. So it's one of my favorite parts of the video doorbell, being able to see it on your Apple TV, use your HomePods as chimes all throughout the house, all that. All right, next is the Aqara W200 thermostat. This is coming out April 7th. It'll be available on Amazon. Affiliate link will be below for that. And also, if you're wondering if you have the budget to get any and all of the things I'm talking about, that's where today's sponsor comes in, Monarch. I've been using Monarch for months now, and not only does it show me where my money goes, but gives me a full financial picture. I like using this widget on my iPhone so I can see the latest transactions. And not only is this great to keep track of recurring expenses, especially now being a solo creator, but Monarch really breaks down your full financial picture, like your net worth, different assets and spending over the month. And it connects with over 13,000 institutions. I've connected all of my checking, savings, credit card accounts, and bank accounts. This way, everything is in one place. Jumping between all those banking and credit card apps is cumbersome, and maybe you forgot where that recurring charge is actually going. Well, with Monarch, you'll keep track of all those transactions and keep an eye on your cash flow, expenses, and set up different budgets, whether you're saving for a trip or an accessory. And this is much better than getting 20 alerts a day from several different apps. You just get a clear view of your income, expenses, and helps you manage it. Monarch is private and ad-free. You're the customer, not the product. There's no ads, no data selling, and you get one clean dashboard on all your devices. And not only do all your dashboards and information looks great everywhere, they also make a great looking iPad app too. It has flexible budgeting where you can separate fixed versus flexible spending, customizable rules and categories, and you get AI-powered insights where Monarch uses your real financial data to surface helpful insights and explanations about your money. And it's couples ready. A shared view keeps partners aligned with the same financial picture. So scan this QR code right here or use the link down in the description. And with promo code Robles50, you get 50% off your first year of using Monarch. Monarch has been so easy to use, secure, and having everything in one place makes a huge difference. So again, scan here or the link is down in the description. And my thanks to Monarch for sponsoring this video. All right, so this is the Aqara W200 thermostat. I actually replaced my older Ecobee version 2 with this. This is Matter. It has Thread, so it's super responsive. And it also works with Aqara's video doorbell, so you can actually see a snapshot of who's at the door on this thermostat screen. Installation was super easy. You can connect it directly to the Home app via Matter or your smart home ecosystem, and you don't need to download the Aqara app again unless you want to be able to connect it to something like your video doorbell. The other cool thing is this thermostat is also an occupancy sensor, not a motion detector. This is actually going to detect occupancy using wave. So this will show up in your Apple Home app. You can see right here, it's the Thermostat Hub 200, which it also acts as an Aqara hub. But then you can automate this occupancy sensor for things like turning off lights. And it's way better than just a motion detector because even if someone's sitting in the room still, it will detect their occupancy versus motion, which it would turn off the lights because it doesn't detect motion anymore. Now I had it just set up in the Home app, didn't even set it up in the Aqara app for a little while, but now I did because I wanted to link it to the video doorbell. And when you go to the configurations here, you'll see here in the settings, you can link to a smart doorbell. And here I've connected to the G400, and you can also link a smart door lock. That means if someone rings the doorbell, not only will you see the snapshot on the thermostat screen, but you can tap the screen to unlock your door. That's a cool ecosystem feature, but as I said in my CES video a few months ago, more and more smart home brands are building these kinds of integrations that are proprietary, meaning you have to use the Aqara app and the Aqara ecosystem for things like seeing your video doorbell on your thermostat screen. Unfortunately, these are not built-in Apple Home or HomeKit features, and Apple is really falling behind on a lot of those. Apple has also fallen behind simple things like the camera resolution and camera control. So while that G400 video doorbell is a 2K camera, and I can see 2K video in the Aqara app, HomeKit Secure Video is still maxed out at 1080p. So all of my recordings in HomeKit Secure Video, which is part of my iCloud Apple One subscription, I only get 1080p. Also, cameras that have like pan and tilt control, which I have a Topo 2K camera out on my patio. It does have pan and tilt control in the Topo app, but Apple has not built that into the Home app. So hopefully, I say this every year, but hopefully at WWDC this year, 2026, we'll see Apple further pushing into smart home, adopting the latest standards, doing things like adding 4K video to HomeKit Secure Video, so new products like the G400 can take advantage of that high resolution. So that's one of the trade-offs of just doing everything directly in HomeKit versus using the third-party apps. But like Aqara and a lot of the other smart home brands, there's more and more features behind paywalls. Even the video doorbell, the new G400, there's a bunch of things like AI video search and AI video features. And part of this is in the Home Guardian service, which you would have to pay for and subscribe. One of the reasons why I get HomeKit Secure Video stuff is so I don't have to pay another subscription for those recordings. And as you can see, all of this is locked behind that Aqara subscription. Aqara's is $10 a month or $100 a year with whatever this current deal is. And I would get 2K video recordings from my different cameras. And I do have a bunch of Aqara cameras in the house, but hopefully Apple updates HomeKit and the Apple Home app to support those high resolutions soon. Also, while we're here in the family room, this is the Denon 400 speaker. This one speaker is the price of two HomePods. It's $600, so $200 less than the larger 600. It does have all that connectivity. You can do Bluetooth, aux, USB-C in, hardware switch for the microphone. But I will say, I don't prefer the sound of this over a pair of HomePods. For the exact same price, I would go with a pair of HomePods. But if you want even better sound than this and the HomePods, then go up to the 600. So hopefully that makes sense. This speaker still sounds really good, but a pair of HomePods has better bass, better audio separation, wider soundstage. The Denon 600 is really where it's at with their new home speakers if you want the best of the best. And now let's talk about my midlife crisis purchases, including my new OLED TV. So if you listen to my podcast, Primary Technology, I'll put a QR code here. You can watch it actually now on Apple Podcasts or here on YouTube. That QR code will go to Apple Podcasts. But I did upgrade my TV. I just turned 40 last month, and so this is the 77-inch LG G5 OLED. Never had an OLED TV. TV before this was a TCL Series 5. It had local dimming, but it is night and day compared to an OLED TV, and this TV looks great. As you do, I watched Interstellar the first weekend after we set it up, which, setting it up, I did have a bit of a stressful moment. My podcast co-host told me I have to use the in-box mount, which is like a flush mount against the wall, and I just wanted to use the mount that I had, which was a tilting bracket that I set up with my TCL 4 years ago. Luckily, I was able to reuse my old mount, no problem. The TV is still really close to the wall, just a little bit of a gap, but enough to use the Hue Gradient Light Strip, which I had been using my Hue Sync Box and Gradient Light Strip for a while now, and I bought the larger 75-inch version for this TV. This is the 77-inch size, if I didn't say already. And I also got these gradient tubes that could go all the way across this little TV stand. Overall, really loving all of this. Now, there's probably mixed feelings about whether to use the gradient light strips and all that behind the TV, but when we're watching a fun movie like Super Mario Brothers, I do have my family room movie scene, which I can enable here. And I also have my Hue Sync Box, which is one of my regrets, which we'll talk about in a moment. So I like having the option. A movie like this, turn on the syncing, it's more fun with the whole family. And I'll turn it off for movies like Interstellar, where I want to see the nice black levels on the OLED. Now, you'll also see underneath the TV, I upgraded my receiver. I came from the older S950H, which served me well for probably 7+ years, but I wanted two things. 4K 120 for when my kids play games, and I wanted to have better CEC control. And my older S950H, it wouldn't automatically turn on and turn the TV on when my kids turn on the game system and switch back for Apple TV. And so I wanted something with the latest HDMI standards, or the newest I could get, 4K 120. And this new model, the S970H, has been great. Does Dolby Atmos, uses all the speakers I had in my ceiling and the speakers in the walls, plus the center channel and sub. One quirk, I am using every single HDMI port on this receiver, and apparently only inputs 4, 5, and 6 can do 8K or 4K 120. So I plugged the Xbox, PlayStation, and Switch 2 into 4, 5, 6, and then I have things like the Apple TV, Blu-ray, and other stuff in 1, 2, and 3. So once I figured that out, we're good. You do have to change in the Denon settings to enable 4K 120. It's called Enhanced in the Denon menu, but that's been great. And I also use both zones, HDMI 1 and 2 out, and this is where the regrets start coming in. I was using the original Philips Hue sync box, and it was working fine. Sometimes it would be a little spotty, and so I wanted to upgrade to the newer sync box, which does 8K or 4K at 120 and supposedly had better response times. It is still set up. You can see that's the new Hue sync box in there, but it does this weird thing where it messes with Dolby Vision settings and sometimes doesn't play nice with the Apple TV. So because it acts funny, I wanted to put it in zone 2. So there's actually no video inputs directly from the Apple TV or game systems going to the sync box. It is just using the receiver's second HDMI output. But then there's some weirdness when if my kids are playing games on the PS5 or Xbox, sometimes the screen would just go black. And that was because at times the sync box would turn on for a second and the receiver would have to then go to dual HDMI output rather than one, and it would come back after a few seconds, but a key moment in Rocket League, a few seconds could be important. So to solve that, I actually put a smart plug on the Hue sync box and it stays off unless we're watching a movie. And then I have it as part of my smart home scene that I've run earlier. And then the smart plug turns on and the sync box can turn on. But overall, I didn't need to update the sync box. I could have stuck with the old one because I'm not using the 8K or 4K 120 since it's just the dual output on the receiver. So that was totally unnecessary. But the bigger regret was actually upgrading my Hue hub. We're about to go into my network closet again. If you say anything about terminating cables, you're banned. All right, so here is all my network gear. Yes, this is a load-bearing plastic bin. And here is the Hue Hub Pro. Now I got this because supposedly you could talk to more Hue devices and you wouldn't need dual hubs. And supposedly it has faster response times and you get more features with like Hue bulbs and stuff. Migrating from my old hub to the new one was a nightmare. I regret doing it. I don't have that many Hue devices where I needed 2 of the old hubs anyway. I should not have upgraded that. I should have stuck with the old hub. Only upgrade to the Hue Hub Pro if you have a ton of Hue devices and you don't want to run 2 of the old hubs, or maybe you want slightly faster response times. But I've had to reset this hub twice since setting it up because HomeKit would stop seeing my Hue devices. And every time I have to re-add the hub to HomeKit, I have to place all the Hue devices into the scenes manually. My HomeKit scenes, which run all my studio colors, and it's just a pain in the neck. So I would not have gotten the Hue Hub Pro or upgraded the sync box. It was unnecessary for my setup, and the Hue Hub Pro has been more of a headache than it's worth. So I regret getting it. Maybe you have a special use case where it would be useful, but no, I wouldn't have done that. All right, and one final regret is here in my kid's bathroom. This is the Lutron humidity sensor switch. I saw this and got it at CES. I installed it about a month ago, and it detects humidity and automatically turns on the exhaust fan when it detects that, turns it off when it stops detecting humidity. You can still use it as a manual button and it will turn on the fan and you can manually turn it off. I find this runs for a really long time. I don't know if it's just that humid in this bathroom or not, but I also miss being able to control this with my smart scenes, and I have things like a contact sensor down there where I automatically shut off all the lights after someone exited the bathroom. And so I'm going to be switching this back to the Lutron Claro switch that I had there before. I don't care for this humidity sensor. I'm going to stick with the regular Lutron Divas and Claros for all my stuff. So those are 5 home upgrades I'm glad I did, and a few of my regrets. Now Denon sent me their speakers and Aqara sent me the thermostat, but I bought the video doorbell, bought the TV, bought the receiver, and I bought all that Hue stuff, even the stuff I regret getting. None of them sponsored this video. That was Monarch, but if you are interested in buying any of it, I'll put affiliate links down in the video description. Supports the channel. Also, if you're into shortcuts and other automation, in addition to home automation, you should join my shortcuts community at shortcut.bot. You can scan this QR code, join for free, over 4,000 people there, and you can support this channel, get ad-free versions of my videos, tune into my weekly live streams all about shortcuts and automations, that's just for paying members, and a ton more. And you can listen to my podcast, Primary Technology, and my other podcast, Mac Power Users with David Sparks. But now it's the weekend, so I'm going to enjoy this OLED TV and maybe watch something spacey because I just saw the Artemis 2 launch too. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.